How's it going, you guys? So in this video, I want to walk you through what I do every single morning, my morning routine, okay? Keep in mind right now, it's lockdown, it's quarantine, coronavirus stuff, so my morning routine right now is geared towards the lack of a solid need for a routine. I keep a routine in my schedule because if I don't, then my whole day just is left up to randomness. And I find that in order for me to be happy, to be productive, and to keep my sanity, I need to have at least some bit of structure, even though there's still an element of spontaneity throughout the day. I try to keep my routine relatively consistent. Okay, so keep in mind, I am an athlete who's been on a ketogenic type diet for over a year now. So my routine might seem a little interesting, right? So every morning, okay, I wake up and I make myself some yerba mate. In the morning, my yerba mate is made in a coffee maker here. I don't know if you can see it. So I make it in a coffee maker. I use about 4 tablespoons, maybe more. Sometimes I might add some coffee. I buy some expensive coffee because cheap coffee generally makes you feel like shit. Gives you the jitter, cortisol feeling people talk about, but high quality coffee doesn't. So, but I'll brew some tea, I'll brew some fucking coffee, whatever. Lately it's been tea or mate. Now I'll brew that up, and lately I've been doing about 1/8 of a teaspoon of ashwagandha and 1/8 of a teaspoon of reishi. And I put an entire, well, a half a stick of butter in my blender. Okay, a half a stick of butter, and then 2 tablespoons of regular coconut oil. Usually I'll use unrefined, but this was like on sale for like $7 for a giant tub. So I said, fuck it. And I definitely recommend higher quality unrefined coconut oil. Something like this would be a good idea. I do about two tablespoons of that, and then 2 tablespoons of MCT oil or brain octane or whatever. Lately I've been using cheap stuff, but yeah, I'll use about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of MCT oil, and about half a stick of butter. And I blended in my blender with about lately, since I realized how much carbs this has, net carbs, I'll do about 1 tablespoon of this gelatinized maca powder. And on hardcore heavy workouts, I might do 2 tablespoons, but I don't think it's a good idea if you're on a ketogenic diet to bump it up too much because it has about 5 grams of net carbs per tablespoon. So, you know, anyway, so I'll do that, and then I'll mix up with some xylitol. Now, while my coffee or my tea is brewing, I will get myself about a half a teaspoon, maybe a whole teaspoon, but typically a half a teaspoon lately, of Redmond's real salt. I get this for about $3 for a pound, which is pretty damn cheap. And then I might mix that with a half a teaspoon of light salt, or I might just do about 1/4 of a teaspoon of new salt, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. It just depends, because it's just pure potassium. It's very important for people who don't want to feel like shit, or if they are an athlete on a keto diet, to get your electrolytes in. Too many people, they skip the electrolytes, they skip the potassium salt, they don't measure out their salt. I measure out every single bit of salt that I take using measuring cups, okay? You know why? Because I'm not stupid. You know why it's stupid to not measure your salt? Because your salt will make or break your athletic performance, and it will make or break how you feel. And the studies done on keto adapted athletes and ketogenic diets, they've actually shown that the amount of sodium required in order to sustain your performance is way more than what people typically get if they salt to taste. So all these people say, "Oh, I salt to taste, blah blah blah. I get enough sodium." You don't get enough sodium. Okay, you need to measure it out. Try to get about 3 teaspoons of salt per day. And then sometimes I might do like probably a 1/16 of a teaspoon of magnesium, and I might use. I have a variety of different types. This one I like to use before bed. Um, I have magnesium glycinate, and then really really cheap but really good for just basic keto raid would be Epsom salts. People don't know you can actually use this as a magnesium supplement. It's only $1 per pound. And the bioavailability and things might be rather low, but because it's so cheap and you don't really need much for electrolyte supplementation, um, you don't really need like the best, most bioavailable form. So, I might use like 1/8 of a teaspoon or something. Try to get about 50 milligrams of magnesium. But lately I've been experimenting by just like getting my, like 400 milligrams before bed, and then just taking sodium and potassium throughout the day. So, for the most part, that's my morning drink. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I try to get in about, 1/4 to a half a teaspoon of bone meal for the calcium. Something a lot of people overlook. I think that's extremely important. And I might mix in some unflavored gelatin packs for the glycine, and basically it's a super cheap collagen supplement. Like, I know you guys, it's not like an organic grass-fed collagen supplement, but I don't give a shit. It's so fucking cheap, and especially right now with all the things going on in the world, I don't really see why I need to buy the best of the best. Um, and then, I'll take my bike for a spin. I might sit in my room and play WWE 2K19 or something like that. Play some video games while I drink my coffee concoction. But I notice I tend to feel lazy if I just, read books or something while I drink my coffee. So I try to get it down, maybe play a couple matches or play, like maybe 30 minutes of video games, and then get out the door. Try to do some stretching, try to get up on my bike or whatever, or try to get out there and exercise vigorously. And if you don't, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Might sound like a lot of butter, a lot of salt, but look, people don't realize, like, number one, like, you need sodium to survive no matter what diet you're on. And I always felt like crap when I switched to whole foods. And I think a big reason, besides the fiber content, was because I was not eating enough sodium. You would be lucky to get 800 milligrams of sodium per day on a whole foods diet without salt added. Um, so anyway, that's basically my morning routine for the most part. Once I get on my bike, once I get out, once I get active, I start to feel good. My affirmations and different ideas start to kick in my brain. You know, yeah. So that's what I'm doing right now. Let me know what you think down below. I'm about to make myself some good food. Talk till next time.